In the first half of 2026, the story of frontier AI was not only what these models learned to do, it was how many of them got taken away. Banned by a government, delayed past 2 public deadlines, or deliberately deleted with 1/3 billion people told to save their data by taking screenshots. 3 models, 3 ways a frontier system can die, 1 6-month timeline. Here is the autopsy, and every date in it is documented. Start with the ban. On June 12, 2026, United States export controls took Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 out of service. By most benchmark accounts, it was the most capable, generally available AI model in the world at the time. It was not paused. It was banned, under the same legal machinery America uses for weapons and advanced chips. One day it was the top model in the picker, the next day it was gone. No sunset period, no migration window. The behind-the-scenes account, reported by Axios on July 4th, reads like a thriller. When the ban hit, Amazon's chief executive called the Treasury Secretary, not the Pentagon. Anthropic flew engineers to Washington to work on fixes, and according to that reporting, the National Security Agency reviewed those fixes and said they were not good enough, an intelligence agency holding effective veto power over whether a commercial product could return to market. That process was not designed by any law or court. It was improvised, in private, over 19 days. The model came back in stages. Around June 29th, the restricted sibling was restored. On July 1st, the Commerce Department lifted the controls, and Fable 5 returned worldwide after nearly 3 weeks dark. But 1 week later, on July 8th, it came back changed. Fable 5 moved to usage credit billing. On the $17 Pro plan, it is no longer included at all, available only through credits at $10 per million input tokens and $50 per million output. A flagship, repriced into a metered premium product within a week of a national security review. No public document says the ban caused the billing change, but the market lesson landed anyway. Frontier access can change overnight for policy reasons. That is verdict number 1. Model access is now sovereign risk. Now, the delay. On May 19th at Google's developer conference, Google shipped Gemini 3.5 Flash and promised Gemini 3.5 Pro was coming, in its own words, next month. Next month meant June. June 30th came and went with no launch. As of the second week of July, the model was still in limited enterprise preview, with no official benchmarks, no model card, and no pricing. The reported reason, consistent across outlets and never confirmed by Google, was token consumption. The model burned through too many tokens per task to ship at a price that could win. The delay did not arrive alone. On June 18th, Noam Shazir, a Gemini co-lead and a co-author of the original Transformer paper, left for OpenAI. The next day, a DeepMind Nobel laureate announced he was joining Anthropic. And on June 22nd, Alphabet had its worst day in over a year, shedding an estimated $225 billion in market value in a single session. Inside 10 days, Google delayed its flagship, lost 2 of its most celebrated researchers to its 2 biggest rivals, and took a $250 billion hit. Here is the part that matters. Google owns its own chips and told investors it cut model serving costs 78% in a single year. Even the cheapest server on Earth would rather miss 2 public deadlines than ship a flagship that loses the cost per task war. That is verdict number 2. The frontier is now a game only 3 or 4 balance sheets can afford to play. Which brings us to the deletion, and it is the largest deliberate product deletion in consumer software history. On July 15, 2026, China switches off the user-created agent feature inside Doubao, ByteDance's flagship AI app, used by 345 million people a month. Not a crash, not a hack. A scheduled deletion announced with about 10 days of warning. The official backup plan for users who had spent 2 years building custom agents, tutors, companions, personas with their own memory was to take screenshots. The trigger was regulation, arriving exactly on schedule. On April 10th, China's Cyberspace Administration and 4 other agencies issued interim measures governing AI that acts like a person. Pop-up warnings for overuse, reminders after 2 hours of continuous use, companion services banned outright for minors, and mandatory intervention when a user signals self-harm. Companies got about 90 days. The fines are tiny, as little as 10,000 yuan. The real weapon is distribution. Beijing can pull an app from the stores, so it does not need big fines. Faced with retrofitting all of that into products engineered to hold attention, ByteDance and Alibaba both chose amputation over compliance. Doubao's agents stop functioning after July 15th. Users keep read-only access until October 15th, and after that, the data becomes permanently unrecoverable. Alibaba's Quen app, with 166 million users, cut deeper and offered no grace period at all. Beijing just proved the will and the ability to delete a feature inside an app used by 1/3 billion people on 10 days of notice, with the companies complying without public protest. No Western regulator has ever demonstrated that, and this is where the 3 stories become one. A model can be taken from you by a government, the way Fable 5 was. It can be priced out of reach by its own economics, the way Gemini nearly was. Or it can be deleted by regulation, the way Doubao's agents were. In every case, what died was not the intelligence. It was your access to it, and the state that lived inside the vendor's walls. Your configs, your memory, your history. So here is the operator lesson, the same one in all 3 autopsies. Treat any vendor's stateful layer as a cache, never as your system of record. Keep your prompts, agent configs, and knowledge bases in your own repository and inject them at runtime. Export your conversation data on a schedule, not when the deprecation email arrives. And keep one abstraction layer between your workflows and any single model API, so a shutdown becomes a config change, not a rebuild. Multi-model redundancy stopped being paranoia in 2026. It became architecture. We read the primary documents behind stories like this and write them up in a free weekly newsletter, no noise. If this autopsy was useful, that is where the deeper version lives. And the link is in the description. And if you want to know whether your own business could survive a July 15th style event, our free revenue audit maps exactly where you depend on something you do not control. That is the whole job. See you in the next one.